This time, the travel cost is 62 yen. It was built solely for the purpose of going to the new town. Let me introduce the Skyrail Railway. There's quite a difference in elevation, so it's almost like a thrill ride. It feels like I'm on an amusement park attraction. You can experience a unique sensation, and it uses a rare system. It mainly caught the attention of railway enthusiasts, but it ended up being discontinued after running a deficit of over 1 yen. Why did the deficit continue and lead to its discontinuation? In this video, I'll introduce the history and future of the Skyrail, sharing local footage and my impressions from visiting the site. On this channel, I will continue to bring you content that you can enjoy. I will be making a lot of videos, so please be sure to subscribe to the channel. So, I have come to Seno Station, which is located in Eiki Ward, Hiroshima City, Hiroshima Prefecture. From Midori Station, which is directly connected to Seno Station, you can board the Skyrail, which is the main attraction for today. On the way from Seno Station, you can see the rails of the Skyrail. They look more like a roller coaster than a railway. I'm not good with thrill rides, so I almost felt like crying as I made my way to Midori Station. This place is here, a new town developed by cutting through the mountains. The Skyrail was established in 1998 as a means of transportation to Skyrail town Midorizaka. The official name is Skyrail Service, Hiroshima Short Distance Transportation Seno Line. It is directly connected to Seno Station. In addition to Midori Station, there is the intermediate station Midori Station and the terminal station Midori Chuo Station. But the railway service was discontinued on May 1, 2024. It ended up being discontinued even though the name of the new town includes Skyrail. For now, I haven't seen any articles suggesting the name will change, so I wonder if the traces of the Skyrail will remain as they are. It's a 30-second walk from the station entrance to the ticket gate. The ticket machine looks like one you'd find at a museum, and above it, the timetable and fares are displayed. Adult fare is 170 yen. I don't really know much about trains, so I can't say for sure, but it seems pretty cheap to me. For now, I'll buy a ticket, put in the money, touch the 170 yen for adults, and the ticket comes out. When I looked back later, the focus wasn't right, but it's something like this. The ticket has a code on it, and when you scan this code at the reader installed at the ticket gate, the gate opens. This place really feels like a museum too. After entering the ticket gate and going up the stairs, you arrive at the platform. This is the Gondola railway I'm about to ride, or rather it's like getting on an attraction. That's how it feels. By the way, inside the station it's powered by a linear motor, and between stations it's driven by a wire rope. To explain the mechanism in a super simple way, between stations it moves at a constant speed. There's a rope running through, and the vehicle grabs onto it to move. On the other hand, when it enters the station, it lets go of the rope and switches to a linear motor. This allows it to accelerate and decelerate, enabling it to arrive at and depart from the station. I boarded right away. During the day, it operates at 15-minute intervals, and each vehicle can seat 8 people at a time. It is designed to carry up to about 25 people at maximum. I think the locals are used to it, but for me, standing in this gondola feels really scary. Now, I'll play a train view video while riding. I'll tell you about the development of the new town and the period until the Skyrail opened. Right after the train left, we hit a steep slope and my hands started sweating. This steep slope, except for the cable car, this is said to be the steepest in Japan. The Skyrail line is only about 1.3 kilometers long, but it has a height difference of 180 meters. Even though it's only 1.3 kilometers, it runs at 15 kilometers per hour and reaches the final stop in about 6 minutes. By the way, this footage wasn't actually filmed by me. I thought I had recorded it, but it turns out it wasn't saved properly. Since starting this channel, this has been my biggest mistake so far. That's why it was nearly scrapped. It was a video about the Skyrail, but there was someone who allowed me to use their footage. Somehow I managed to get it released. Let me thank you again in this video. Thank you so much. I've also included the channel of the person who let me use their footage in the description, so please check it out if you can. Now, getting back to the topic once again, the Skyrail is in the new town called Skyrail Town. It's a line that opened in 1998 as a means of transportation to Midori. The Skyrail was such a revolutionary new transportation system that its name was even used for the new town itself. Earlier, I mentioned that inside the station, it's a linear motor, but between stations, it uses a wire rope. This system takes the best features of both monorails and ropeways. One of its strengths is that it can handle steep slopes and curves. If it were just about steep slopes, a cable car would be fine, but cable cars can't handle large curves. In fact, the Skyrail has a big curve right after climbing the initial steep slope, and another right after leaving Midori Station, the intermediate stop. It's also cost-effective. The construction cost is surprisingly low. Compared to conventional monorails and such, it's only about a third of the cost. Plus, it doesn't require a driver, since it's an automated vehicle. The management of the vehicles is handled by ground facilities, and the stations are monitored with surveillance cameras and such, so labor costs can be kept to a minimum. There are only good things about it. As for why the railway was discontinued and why it didn't become widespread, I'll explain that later. While I was talking, we've reached the last stop, Midori Chuo Station. From here, the footage switches back to the video I recorded. So, I'm going to head outside this station. Personally, I was surprised that there are no ticket gates when you get off. As soon as you go down the stairs, you're immediately outside the station. Since the Skyrail has completely separate platforms for boarding and alighting, it's designed so that you can't board from the alighting platform without a ticket, which is why they can have this kind of structure. There was a guide map of the new town, and right next to Midori Chuo Station, there's an area marked as the commercial district. I'm curious about what's built there, so I'll go check it out later. First, I'll take a walk to get a feel for what kind of town the new town is. It's rich in greenery and very peaceful. The air feels fresh, and it seems like a comfortable place to live. Currently, about 2,200 households and 7,300 people live here. And contrary to the discontinuation of the Skyrail, the population seems to be continuing to grow. Also, putting aside the fact that this residential area isn't a place where mainly elderly people live, as of the end of June 2020, the elderly population is less than 5%. So aging isn't an issue here. Moreover, single or two-person households also make up less than 30%. There is a large park under Midori Chuo Station, and at the center of this park, you can see the Skyrail tracks, with gondolas running right overhead. The scenery is beautiful too. This is the view looking down from the park, and every house is nice and the town itself is sophisticated. You can see the elementary school from the park, people living in this new town. It's the school that elementary students attend, and according to data from 2022, there are about 800 students in total. That's amazing. As I'm explaining this, I myself am starting to not really understand why the Skyrail is being discontinued. Come to think of it, I forgot to go check out the commercial district next to the station on the map. When I went there, it looked like some kind of construction was going on. From what I heard, they're trying to attract commercial facilities. For years, it was just an empty lot kept for that purpose. I wonder if they've finally attracted businesses. Let's set aside for now what exactly they were building, and first talk about why. I'll explain why the Skyrail was discontinued. The Skyrail was discontinued. There are several reasons, but the first factor is the deficit. Since it opened, the management of the Skyrail has never been smooth. It has been running at a deficit since its opening, and in recent years, it has been posting huge losses of over 100 million yen, by the way. Between 2012 and 2020, the number of users increased by more than 100,000. Even so, it's still in the red. Management had an overly optimistic outlook. No matter how big the difference in elevation is, even though the total length of the line is 13 kilometers, if you really try, you can walk it. And even though there's a railway, it's an area where having a car is more convenient. I also walked a bit inside the new town, but having a car, most households appeared to have a car. Even so, calculations showed that if just one person from each of the 2,200 daily households made a round trip, revenue would break even with expenses. It's understandable that running it gets tough. The second reason is that the maintenance costs ended up being higher than expected. The Skyrail was supposed to be adopted not just in this new town, but in many other places as well. However, there just weren't many places where its advantage of handling steep slopes and curves could be put to use. Due to its small capacity, the vehicle isn't suitable for mass transportation, especially on flat land. The Skyrail isn't needed at all. In fact, Kogyo and Kobe Seikojo, the developers of the Skyrail, tried to promote it. Fukuoka City, Otsu City in Shiga Prefecture, and Sagamihara City in Kanagawa Prefecture. Although its introduction was considered in several places, it was never adopted anywhere. In Nagasaki City, the introduction of the Skyrail was considered as a means of transportation for tourists from the parking lot to the observatory. However, what was actually adopted and completed was something that could be built at an even lower phone-eye cost. Since it was treated as a vehicle elevator, there was no need for railway business approval. It was a slope car. When you look at the photo, you might wonder, who would call it an elevator at first glance? But it really is an elevator. It's interesting. This slope car is a converted monorail initially used for transport within one building, and it's reportedly used in around 100 locations in Japan besides Nagasaki City. Some of them, like the Skyrail, are over 1 kilometer long, so they're basically just an upgraded version of the Skyrail. The Hiroshima Skyrail was the only one of its kind in the world until it was discontinued, and because it didn't become widespread, the number of installations didn't increase. If the number stays the same, maintenance costs will inevitably rise. Additionally, manufacturers that made Skyrail parts like vehicles and bridge piers also went out of business. Maintenance also became difficult, so even though the development of the new town was going smoothly, they had no choice but to shut down. The Skyrail was discontinued. The means of transportation changed to the Midorizaka town bus, the place under construction at the final stop, Midori Chuo Station, is not going to be a commercial facility. A bus depot was being built there. In November 2022, it was decided to switch to bus transportation. Bus stops, including the Midori Chumachi station, were set up and the line was discontinued. Service started on March 30th, 2024. The fare for the Skyrail was 170 yen for adults. In contrast, the bus fare became 200 yen, which is 30 yen higher. However, the Skyrail has a total of 3 stations. In contrast, the bus has more than 10 stops. This made the bus more convenient than the Skyrail. This video was filmed in January 2024, and I was only able to release it in May 2024. Unfortunately, it was published after the discontinuation. I hope that those who have fond memories of the Skyrail will watch this video in the future and feel nostalgic. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a like. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.